Yeah, so Lee said, let me put the AC on. Oops, it is on. But yeah, it's fine with me. It's just yeah, it is quite warm outside, isn't it? Really? Well, they say we're probably gonna last for at least a week. But yeah, you're right.
Last Thursday was almost unreal. I was on the camera.
Oh yeah, last Thursday. Yeah.
27 degrees in my car.
Yeah. Last Thursday I was I dropped the car in the house and I got the number 3 bus in Gorgi to come to town. And the driver was so slow and he was stopping after the bus stop because he was early. And you were melting inside the bus, you know. At least if you go out there is a breeze, but inside the bus was like dead.
I have to go through the wings and I get in the car. I've got a car roof with maybe 10 times worse, so it was kind of like, we can sit in the car but trying not to sit and trying not to touch the steering wheel. It was like the air conditioner on outside, just stay for 5 minutes.
Oh wow, really?
Nah, it was that bad.
Wow.
But
was it busy at Hemsel Gate then on your way back? Or?
Oh no, I worked through the other side, I worked through Glasgow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I had to get the bus and to get through it.
Okay.
So there's an office for my main office is at Eurocentral, if you know where that.
Oh yeah. Is it just before you turn to East Kilbride? Yeah. Because I worked there for 3 months, East Kilbride. So yeah, I remember that. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It's a very few times I admit that. You know, IT is IT. You know.
Yeah, no. I'm just there, so that's my home office, but for today I'm working in the Edinburgh office, which is just opposite the zoo. So it's not too bad. I'll try to drive through here. I was like, yeah, get the bus from my old office to my office to this office, and another bus up here. Alright. So, yeah, and I got a bus route there back home, so I've sort of public transport today, which is kind of odd. First time in years.
How was it? Odd. I know. I get public transport every day and I wish I could avoid it. Anyway, it's still early. Anyone wants anything to drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want? I'm going to see if they have beer, a bud, if you have a bud. You want a bud or a Coke or Sprite?
Well, anything about beer.
Beer, okay.
If you don't have this fine.
Of course.
No, I was just thinking as long as it records up to YouTube, at least if I don't follow here, I can at least pause it, look what you're doing, replay it.
That's the plan, but it was to sleep that I don't press the pause button in a few minutes, and this never tells me exactly, because this camera never tells me exactly how to work it.
The same way Canon, we do something that we did a big all hands meeting, and they wanted to record the director, my boss's boss, so it was my boss's boss, and his boss talking, and they wanted to get the same message, so they thought they'd do the same thing, but he's got a Canon camera, and yeah, he saw something every few hours often going crossing it, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. So it's not just Canon, it's Nikon is Canon as well.
But it did work, we took it up with work previously, I think the camera's too far back, because it looked but we'll write up notes and some there, links to the slides on the website and get them as well. Link on the meetup as well. So
It did confuse me getting two separate applications.
Honestly, this is not supposed to be a jam thing, but the answer was a jam thing, and I did it was a IT thing. And this is also a IT thing, so you're supposed to link to this meetup, and instead it raised it created an event. But actually, it is exchange related, so it makes some sense, but it just, I think, doesn't have to be.
it was more the fact that I was like, I hadn't put in my calendar. I knew it was coming up, I hadn't put in my calendar. I remember having that sort of hope of, did I actually stick that? I'm sure I clicked on it.
Maybe I'm checking, you can't see
So you're going to end up getting in the door this morning, hold on a second, there's 2 different emails here. I was like, I better check to make sure I've not registered twice. Since my doctor's kind of wanted to know if I want to use with it, but I didn't bring one.
Have you got doctor installed now?
I have. This either.
And it should work with anything. And I've made it as simple as possible, as self-contained as possible. So all we should do is talk about an internet connection and then do the whole thing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I kind of wanted it to work as, universally as possible.
Yeah. There's nothing worse when you try to follow something that I've never done before. You try to follow a tutorial on it, and then it's like there's a lot of assuming knowledge. So then you get bad for that. It's really bad for that online. You try to find out. It's like step 1, step 2, step 12, and you ask for someone to help fill in the blanks, and you get nothing but hatred and I should know what you're doing. You should be in this job. Well, I'm not doing the job. I'm trying to learn this. I'll use it. You idiot.
Well, other than having reports open available on your laptop, it should work on your laptop.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want?
No, I think it's just
I'll go online.
I don't know.
Well, can you check?
Press the button a while ago, that's all I know.
Yeah.
How do I check it's online?
Because the little black box says online on top. What does it say? What does it say?
Oh, I think so.
You are the worst helper ever.
Camera mode.
Mom's assistant.
He's neither. His mom live. It's like it says live here with the white background.
This guy. Oh, do you want a number?
Yep.
Okay. You got your phone?
Do you want to text me?
Okay.
Yeah, just text me. And I'll text him saying, well, my name is John, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, sure, thanks.
Which network are we running at, do you know?
Yes, it's this one here. Wait for it. Bam! His guest, recruitment guest after yourself.
Where is that? Cheers. Cheers. Hey, I thought, how you doing, bro? I haven't. Yeah, sorry. I'll get it done. No worries.
Yay!
Right.
Did you walk here?
No.
No?
No, I was committing my last changes to Git.
Alright. I hope because it's empty files with control characters. Yeah?
Brad, you not joining us?
He said he would.
He is.
Yes. Awesome. He yes.
Set off about 7:30.
What? No, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, you live in half 7, so it's water for you. Sorry,
I've got an interview.
There's no beer.
I have an interview at 11 o'clock tonight.
And half 7, where are you staying?
So I'm at half 7. I've got to head off to see a friend tonight.
Oh,
to say goodbye.
Okay.
So
I'm kidding.
Nice to to be live streaming.
Yeah.
Can I go and fill the camera with obscenities then?
Yes.
Live streaming 7 seconds.
It's not the first time.
I know. Fucking demonstrate.
That's the next thing we'll have to buy. A bleeping thing.
An Adam filter.
Yeah.
I've got my head around this IT crew with the bleep button on the wall. You can't get sacked into the bleep button, you can try and keep it out again.
I'm not certain. I think it's going to be a Skype one. I won't actually know until I won't know that it's definitely happening until 10 o'clock tonight. Which is probably to exchange.
So what's going to happen if you see video call and you decline?
If I see a video, well, I'm not going to see a video call until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but what are you going to accept? That's a risk. Video call.
So I know where we're coming from.
I did once about last year, like 7 years ago,
Yeah.
remember? And the time difference was so mental, I was getting up really early in the morning and putting a smart shirt on, and like
Jammies.
shorts and stuff, and I was sitting there and coffee.
I don't think they'll work. Can't tell about that. You can tell people do remote working. You can't work, with the underwear on and, like 5 days of the growth.
Yeah, it was. It said start for quarter past 6.
Oh, where was this called?
No, it's quarter past.
One of them said,
Mine was earlier. So I beat you again, Donald. My friend from Sainsbury's Bank said he's going to be around as well. And who else? And Raju, Tassos and Raju as well, he said. I suppose the traffic is a bit slow because like hundreds of people walking in the middle of the road because they're hot. So if you're hot, that's what you do, apparently.
Roger's on his way.
Alright.
I think there's roadworks down by Haymarket as well, which I didn't know about. The bus seems to get diverted through these sort of the housing areas back on again.
Oh yeah, they do that.
Like, I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just waiting for something. If I see something I recognise.
Yes, it's the 25 bus. I've noticed there are some normal 2-decker buses that go through narrow roads, narrow turns.
The first job I've ever had in Edinburgh, because I took me in Glasgow and I can figure out the way to go based on just the skyline. And I was reading what we do with links, we do that way. So I always get a taxi. If I don't know where I'm going, I get a taxi to it and I walk back because I don't know nothing more stressing out than getting lost. So I made the mistake of reading up my notes and the company was what you see and not what should we really hang the driving to. So the interview was a disaster, it was a complete nightmare. I came out and I thought, okay, how do I get to oh crap. So I just went in a random direction. Now it's day like today and I'm fully suited and booted. I end up at there's a I don't know if it's still there, we used to do a Lothian bus depot, like an actual garage. Something real with that.
Oh yes.
So I went over this direction, I thought that's definitely not right, so I picked another direction. Eventually got to the bottom end of Broughton Street and there was just a cafe. I thought I'm going to go in and complete ignorance. And see the last issue, oh yes, okay, look for your realisation. Alright, do you know where the back bill is? No, do you know where the castle is? No, do you know where the castle is? I know where the station was. Okay, she takes me outside and says, I'll just keep walking, you'll see her saying, I thought, oh, she just tried to park me off. And 2 minutes later, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh. It was just one of those neighbours you actually don't know where you're going. Glasgow makes sense to me, but it's probably because I come take the far away from the river. If you're down low, you're getting at the river. Everything else you know what you're there.
Oh, right. That makes sense, yeah.
If you're down low, you can look either direction, you'll see where the bridges are from the train station, and you walk towards it. And if you end up in Govan, not very nice. Where was it still right? You were on
it's a small company. It was the something center, innovation center. It was a small company. It wasn't TS3. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't remember the name of the company. They were doing. I was doing EJB there, Java EJBs. Yeah, I was doing that then. I'm sorry.
Ages ago.
Yeah, that was ages ago. Yeah, it was 2004. Something like that. So it was like the commute was an hour.
That's quite lucky actually.
Yeah, or more. Was it more?
I stayed 10 minutes, we stayed right around the day.
All right.
And I went for an interview there 6 months ago. And I came out at 5 o'clock at night. And it took me 15 minutes to get on the road because it was that fast.
Oh man. Yeah, because to go to Glasgow.
No, it's just to stay because I was in the technology park and there's only one.
So that was I was in the technology park as well. Yeah.
And everyone's coming from a direction. You're sitting there going.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yes, I remember that. It was like a pain in the backside to get out. Yeah.
And then you just sort of close your eyes and then go for a space and just hope don't like the
Hope for the best. Yeah. And I remember when I was taking the slip road to go to Edinburgh. I remember on the Glasgow side there were traffic queues to go to Glasgow. From there it was like slow traffic because from there starts the slow traffic.
Yeah.
You know.
It got worse when it's all been revamped now.
All right.
Because they did the M8, M73 and the new M8, M8, the M8 and the new M8. So like from my office to home, it could take me 3 minutes, 4 minutes to drive there.
All right.
Once
That's no traffic, you mean?
Yeah, on a fairly good day.
Wow.
Normally it would take me 6 minutes.
Wow.
With the roadworks being in place, it was taking me over an hour to do the same distance. Because everything was blocked off apart from one road. And if they had to walk fast, I'm not going to.
So what? Jesus Christ, an hour?
Yeah, they're building a new road.
So you could see your house, but you couldn't go.
I can see both.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wow.
In the end, it was like at one point they shut all the roads off and we all came out. It was like about 4:30. The queue stretched from the motorway back on itself into the estate, down the estate into a car park. I just started back in the office and just worked on it at 8 o'clock at night and cleaned extra hours for it. It was like there's no point in sitting getting stressed out in traffic. But it was like you kept on looking at it and folk were posting updates, 40 minutes to go the other line to the car park. Wow. It was crazy. They eventually opened up they opened up a road that hadn't been finished yet just to ease the traffic. And that was the best thing ever because technically you can speed on it because it's not a real road. They can't really do you for speeding on a road that's got no speed limit. Oh wow. But they're also like big massive pieces of machinery and they're like, I need to be here, this doesn't feel right. Okay. And it takes you the wrong way, like that should be over there, this isn't right. I made it in 2 minutes that day, it was fantastic. Wow.
So how long were the roadworks lasted?
They're finished now, but they were there for 3 years. There was everything in that area was completely done. Wow. You probably wouldn't notice it.
Wow. So did they make the motorway larger, or what did they do? Or they made
a new motorway and made the old one a new road.
Oh wow.
And I take it you came down off the Shothead, off the M8. Down by Fellsill, down to Transile Park, about roundabout down there.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So you used to go around the roundabout and offer the Bristol Bridge especially. So that's now one big road, so you go under the roundabout.
Oh wow!
So they made it easier to take.
So you don't have to use the runabout to go to the
yeah, it's all well continuous.
experience.
And it's, I mean, it's weird for always that I've lived there for years, because when you try to go to Hamilton, they end up taking the wrong road all the time.
Alright.
So you end up just going east to Braidwood and come off when the Braidwood is thing. But it has been a hell of an experience. It was 3.5 seasons, just constant. And then it would always change week to week. When they finished one part, that would get taken and they'd do somewhere else. And I think I had 4 different ways in my work, 4 different road configurations.
Wow. And just a tiny sign saying, sorry for the, we apologize for the inconvenience, right? That's like the really thing that says we don't care about you. Yes. We can see people, builders.
They're all standing there.
Inside of the road, yeah. Hey guys, come on in. So it's 5 past, what are we doing now? We're going to start or we're going to...
4 o'clock, something. 10?
On the meet up I think everyone else does 6 o'clock.
On my famous and well-visited website said 6 o'clock. I don't know what Lee said in his email. He sent an email.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Okay. So Raju is coming.
How do you fill the time by going to sing?
What? Make animal noises. What do you want me to do?
Yes, a song.
A song? No. I don't
Traditional dancing.
No. Okay. Thank you for the feedback, Adam.
That's all right.
We're sorry to see you leaving. We're not really, no. Okay, so let's do another 5 minutes and then we start, okay? And past. So you got beer, guys?
Yeah, well, my dad's
Excellent,
going to
cheers. Yeah, man.
Template, by the way.
Absolutely, it's my own. It's my own. So, do you like it?
I do. Yeah. Why don't you grab a copy?
No, I don't know. So you think we can? What are we going to do with this name, Mr. Cheney?
Can leave it there.
I don't know.
Like an old dead
Okay, we'll see.
Oh, you know, like just
We'll use yellow fonts. No.
well, I'm going to be the New Zealand branch of
Wow.
Methodologies Solutions. Good. Ron's already suggested that I run this talk down in Wellington in a month's time.
We're recording it, so I don't crypt from your notes.
Okay, yes.
Learn from the last bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sending him basic ground.
Okay, yeah. Joker way, yeah. I'm sure I'll find the time to do the same.
I'm sure, yeah, that's correct. Wellington would piss out of the
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, Tom took me through it earlier on, because it looks really good, so
Yeah.
okay. I think that's potential for methodology solutions to come and close.
Right. Yes. And of course, Cheney, global domination, these two names go together, so.
Yeah, well, yeah. Gonna leave a local people to be proud of me.
Someone is just coming.
Okay. So let's see. Someone else. So normally we have a. No. There is, but I think we'll leave the door for. Oh yeah. Have a seat. We're about to start.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, hi guys. Welcome. quite an audience. We're about to start. I don't know if it was there were a couple of invites. It was the good one and the funny one was saying 1:15. So we'll get an average and start now. Thanks for coming. My name. Okay, let's see. What's the next slide? So my name is John. Maybe some people who saw me in previous presentations about Jenkins ones. We are going to this time. The last time we were having a chat about Jenkins and pipelines. It was basic pipelines. Today we're gonna try to demonstrate an end-to-end example of CI/CD pipelines and Jenkins using Docker. So something that resembles more to what day-to-day issues you have and day-to-day things that you have to resolve. So the presentation, what are we going to do? We have a Jenkins demo Jenkins in Docker Hub. What are we going to do? Going through I was thinking, I'm going through the presentation. Have some parts of some configuration files and some that we're going to have to go through. And in parallel, I can go live and run the commands that we need to have the Docker Jenkins up and running, and then we'll configure a couple of different Jenkins pipeline jobs, and then run the pipeline, get a Spring Boot, Java Spring Boot application. I have a really simple one for now. Get it from GitHub, build it with Gradle, run it, go and see it running, and then make a change to the code or make a change to any config file, see it rebuilding and see the change. In theory, that's the plan for today. Okay, and so do you want to go through and introduce everybody? As I said, my name is John. Guys, do you want to, if you like?
Yeah, my name is Matt.
I'm Matt.
Yes. My name is Antonio. I work mainly as a Java developer, but I have some experience with Jenkins as well and Docker.
Oh, very good.
So let's see.
Okay, welcome.
My name is Percy. I'm a PhD student from St. Andrews.
Okay, welcome. Yeah. Go
Hi guys, my name is Grant. I'm a test manager, formerly Java developer.
Okay.
Want to do some more Docker Jenkins.
Okay.
I'm Joe. I'm a senior tester. I've been doing some CI stuff. I've tried to do some CI stuff forever, because so I'm just big things.
Okay. How about you?
I'm Donald from Automateditsolutions and Slides, and DevOps engineer working for Solid Development.
I'm Adam, also automateditsolutions, DevOps engineer working for ROS 2. About to leave and take automateditsolutions solutions to the other side of the planet.
New Zealand. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. So let's give it a go. Let's see what we have here. Excellent. So this is part of. So what are we going to try to do first? Well, first we're going to try, or it's already happened, but we're going to try and demonstrate where are we keeping the files, the configuration files in Docker in GitHub, so we can build the demo Jenkins image that we're going to use. Okay, so this is part of the GitHub repo that we have, the automated solutions. If I can flip from the presentation to the live URL, if you can try, exit. Okay, this is not very good flipping. Let's see if this works. So this is exactly the same as you've seen in the presentation. So so the idea is that we use GitHub to keep everything we need to build our Jenkins Docker image and store it in Docker Hub. Okay, so I know that it might be a bit disconnected, but it is really nice if you manage to make this to work. So what we see here, we see a Docker file. So let's try to do that. Excellent. So the Docker file. It's where we keep, are you familiar with the Docker file and Docker? So Docker file, we define all the steps that we need to build our Docker image. So here you can click on that, click it, okay. So basically, so that's what we're trying to do. We're saying that you're going to build from CentOS 7. Donald, yeah, put his name there because he likes it. So because he likes his name very much. So basically what you say is whenever you start with CentOS, you do all these updates that you most of the times you manually do when you provision a VM. So for Jenkins, as most of you know, we need Java, we need Git, so you can check in stuff. You have Python there and some other stuff. Also, if I can see, basically that's the big ones. And you get this as well, the last thing, which is the latest Jenkins work. So the Jenkins executable that we need to run. So I don't want to say that it's pretty self-explanatory, but it is the comments make it easier to understand what I will put in there. If you are familiar with Jenkins, you will probably see the 50,000 port that is using for JPL and the 8080, which is most of the times what you use Jenkins, or most of the other web apps are using as a default port. I can go through the rest, but are steps that if you try to build any image, you will have to be familiar what exactly you're doing. So we end with this entry point, which this is Jenkins. The Jenkins shell script is what we use to run Jenkins. Whenever we build the entire Docker image, we say, here is the script that we use to run. So if we go back, so here it is, you see that's the script. And this is basically a couple of you define where the Java is and the command line Java ops -jar and the Jenkins war. So basically that's everything you need. These are the two. The Docker file is one of the most important files to build your image. The resources, if you're still, no problem. If you are familiar at all, you can see jobs and plugins. The plugins are Jenkins plugins that it needs, or any Jenkins plugins you need to run your jobs. And the jobs are a couple of jobs that we have. So when we get the image up and running, we need these. We would like these jobs to be ready for us to run. Fair enough?
Yep.
Sorry.
Too many.
Donald, you done it again. You had one thing to do and you've broken it.
Sorry.
It's not live now, is it? Okay, sorry. So I'm really sorry, man.
No problem. Question. So this XML configuration for each job, how do you keep it under version control? Because they are living inside in some Jenkins folder.
Yeah, but
With
you keep them.
Many other files. Did you do any change in Jenkins in your user interface?
But these are picked up from GitHub.
Yeah, but if you go to your Jenkins and make any change in the configuration of any of these jobs, so how do you?
Okay, so
any drifters or anything?
So if you want to do that, there are quite. It depends the jobs. There are quite a couple of different things that you can do. There is one of our previous talks we had. One of the plugins that we presented was called ACM Sync. Okay. And this is whatever you do in Jenkins, it synchronizes it with Git or with a version control tool. So you can have whatever changes you have, you can check them back. You can check them back in automatically. Okay. So that's the thing. The other thing is that if you create pipelines, so you don't define the pipelines actions directly on Jenkins, you write a pipeline script and you keep it in version control and you tell Jenkins where to pick it up and run it.
Yeah, but still some configuration leaked there in this XML, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
even if you are using pipelines, some configuration is there in this XML. Yeah.
But still. But then you can use one of the plugins to have all the. You can define which files you want, and they are automatically checked in every time you change, not every second. Every time you change them.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So this is the application that we have. This is a Spring Boot basic application that what it's going to do is going to display a web page. Nothing very exciting for now. So basically it's a Java file, it's a Java app. If you go here, so this is the MVC framework that Spring Boot is using. So our goal is to, as part of the development team, developers are using GitLab or GitHub or any version control tool and to check in and out their code. So when the code, we don't have a good code that's just now, but when the code is changed and you want to see if it works, you either click a button to build it or automatically builds and see if it breaks or not. So that is the theory. So what we are going to do now is we are going to run a Jenkins pipeline to demonstrate that. So this, okay, so that's what the presentation is telling us. So this is part of the pipeline that we are going to run, which is here, the pipeline demo. So you remember you asked me earlier about how do you back up? So how do you version control that? So the initial XML of the job was just telling us that you go to this GitHub URL and pick up this Jenkins file. Okay. So if we go back here, you can open the Jenkins file, and here it is. This is all the pipeline that we have. So that's how you version control. You make a change and you run it again. And actually, we will do that to see the results.
So with that, you make the change in Jenkins, and that would automatically make a commit, which would rebuild it.
You make the change in GitHub. You click edit here, and you make the change. And then, if you make a change, it's picked up and builds again.
Okay. So you can't actually make any config changes in the Jenkins UI, unless...
Yes, you can, but the idea is to use... if you start making changes directly to Jenkins, you might lose Jenkins. You might lose the VM. You know, the idea is not only to write code, but to write code that you don't care if you lose it.
Yeah.
You know, that way, if we lose the VM, we don't care.
Yeah,
you know, we just provision a new VM and you just run the Docker run again, and you have it.
Cool.
You know.
So if there is a plugin, for example, Active Directory, which
yes.
Like I want to integrate Jenkins with Active Directory, so where should I make a configuration? So that configuration should be stored locally on the GitLab or GitHub, because
yes,
if I store that configuration on GitHub, I have to specify the credentials as well in the plugin, so it is not secure. Right?
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. So we haven't get. This is a complex. No, sorry, it's not as simple as what we demonstrated till now, because then we have to think how are we gonna, as a company, let's say that you're in a company, how do you deal with secrets? Because secrets are private, public-private keys. They are user and passwords as well. So some places they use Jenkins for these things. Some other places they use other software like Vault to manage that. You know, so it's not that straightforward, because you need to think of these things before you store.
So the job in Jenkins, is that something also that you can, rather than going into Jenkins and creating it manually?
Yes.
Can you just build it out in Git?
Yes, the job. That's what we did earlier.
Okay, sorry.
No problem at all. So this is the Docker Jenkins. As I was saying earlier, the jobs are demonstrated are defined here. You know, so. This is the same XML that Jenkins is going to load in. It's picking up. Okay. You know. So Spring Boot demo. Okay. So we went through the Jenkins. So Jenkins file. Basically, this is really simplistic. You don't have to call your pipeline Jenkins file. You can call it whatever you like. We just have the Jenkins file and Docker file now in the same repo and the same root folder, because our example is simplistic. So most of the times you either use different repositories for code and different for your pipelines, or you have different folders so you don't confuse stuff. So let's go back to our point of we have this and we want to build it. So we have this job, and this job is doing absolutely nothing but is picking up this Jenkins file and is running it. So let's open this file as well, so you can see it. So you can see different stages here. So what it's going to do is going to check it out from GitHub. It's going to build it. It's going to and then you build the app, the jar to run it. It's going to run it, test if it's up and running. This is a very simple test, but it follows the life cycle, a typical application SDLC life cycle, and then we're going to stop it and we're going to archive the results. So in theory, if we go here and we say build, so better than Jenkins.
Should we pause for beer?
Should we?
I think we're going to pause for beer.
Yeah.
Pizza, so people can actually celebrate. Should we do that now while we've got?
Okay, yeah, and then we can rebuild. Okay, guys, you're gonna have a break. Okay. Nothing to see here. Go. Making it up.
Not doing pizza, we're just doing beer, so then we get out.
For CICD beer. So grab a drink and.
You said key.
Can I ask you?
The pipeline we will know most of the time.
For another.
Either we're going to start code going to then click run, or you can have the pipeline, the simple one, so you can run it from Jenkins. So if you see that it's working, then you can transfer it to a file and put the URL as we did there. Does it make sense?
So you're calling in the URL from the pipeline.
Yes, exactly. So you call it, you say from in our situation, yes, but you can call it anything you like. Have to be Jenkins. Like, say build, but the pipeline. So I don't know if it's like Spring Boot app or whatever.
If I want to test it and maybe just still
it depends on the test. Just now. I show you the text of the just now all the stages something like that. As we said the tests.
So like various steps. Okay. So we'll put Jenkins. So Jenkins.
We have everything there now because it's like an HTML. Okay. You know, it depends. What we work together, me, Donald, Adam. Under one every team they have an automation project. Yes. You know. Actually, I was with you on that of the application is not so for the 10 times a day. But you know what I mean? So, but if you have
last one application then yeah, that's the way it's
you know, what we try. This is the basic. Wait for the other guys. The pipeline. Future demos on different jobs. You know, in pipeline. Have tailor.
That's not supposed to be right. It's so I'm a Ross over
I was saying, but very much per app.
yeah.
Okay, so as you see. different ports, but for the same map. So that's the good practice.
Find the volume for the XML.
Yes. Okay. So because you can do what we're doing now, but this is for demo purposes because don't know. So you separate them as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd just like to see how I can put the orchestration for Jenkins. Probably figure it out. Oh yeah, which it is.
What? Water?
Oh yeah, I drink too much.
What's wrong one?
Get sound. Sometimes when you make the full on I cannot
testing. It's something you want to see from here in Edinburgh. You know, so
often you can tell.
You don't. It's not like the live system that you care. The thing goes
well, there's something about the way my accent works.
We're going to build it now. 30 seconds. I mean, it depends on which companies they are. But if you deploy the production, you don't have one VM. You have at least 2 VMs, or you have clusters. So you have a load balancer on top of it in front. So you can say you redirect the traffic to let's say you have 2 VMs. You redirect the traffic in one. You upgrade the one that is offline, and then the flip.
What's the guy? I wonder why you don't fit what she's at.
Yeah, because I mean, she likes the
your own scripts, get the load balancer. So the script, the pipeline will be go to load balancer, isolate one of the VMs, deploy the VM. Come on, it's not from the speak up from Docker whatever testing that, deploy, start, and then go into that and go into this VM.
Okay, then you know what I mean? So this low balancer will switch automatically. The detect, for example, that one has been down.
But it's not down.
I mean, because I have to, at some point, the application will be not working.
Yes. But we use Nginx or hybrid 8 process. You know, so both of them they do detect if you can configure them to detect if it's off. You don't redirect traffic there. Sure. But you can to be sure you can have different configuration files depending which VM you want to isolate, and you can reload. You don't have to stop the Nginx. You know what I mean? So if you reload the appropriate configuration file, it redirects the traffic seamlessly. So the end user doesn't see any downtime. That's the simplest way.
But you need to build your own scripts to make this.
You use like an orchestration tool as well, like Rancher. Yeah, Rancher's pretty good. So you have like a UI for that. So you
have a blue and green and
you can just add your hosts and then say disable and upgrade one. Like you can split your containers across multiple hosts. So you have zero downtime that way. Yeah, because as long as you have multiple hosts, you can just run all your containers on one and turn off the other one and switch them over automatically for you. Rancher.
Is Rancher free?
Yeah. So you just install Rancher on a container also and put that on the same host.
Where do you locate the Rancher? It's between it's like another part of the load balancer.
Yeah, you would probably want 2 hosts, so you have one host with Rancher and all your say internal containers, and then one for all your apps. So that way, if you turn off the app going to upgrade, you're not affecting the actual Rancher UI while you're doing it.
But you need to create a new node for Rancher, or can you just put it on the load balancer?
Yeah, you can set all that up from Rancher. Yeah, you can choose which host to use as a load balancer, or do you actively use containers?
There are branches doing what your schedule has done if you want to do this manually. Or one of the things that we use is OpenShift. It's a clustering.
There's a few. There's like Swarm as well.
So you just go there and you say deploy stuff, and they deploy it without no downtime. You just have to be clever to configure it so you don't end up in the middle of doing why are we offline? I don't know. I'm going home now.
5:30 p.m. builds.
Right.
Is there a way to make test the job before you don't Jenkins? Like imagine I just involve from someone a job.
That's why you have.
Can I do dry testing?
You're not whatever you get from other people, you're not going to run the production. You run it in you can have something like that that runs on a VM, and the jobs will run the same VM, so you don't expose anything externally, So you try, because nowadays VMs are really cheap to build. You don't have to be very high spec for Jenkins or SVN. That's it.
So like if you've got a volume mounted as well for your Jenkins container, as soon as you drop the scripts in, it'll automatically sync on the local container. So you can test it straight away locally without having to rebuild it. So that's kind of what you should realize. You have the volume mount on the resources for you. So that means, it's basically synced on the host. So you don't have to rebuild it, you just paste anything in there and it should come through. I think.
So it's a lot of, I'm not trying to make excuse of how simple what we're trying to do here. It's just we are deliberately trying to do something simple, so we can build from there, so we can understand the concepts and build from there. Wow. That's good. That's a portfolio. Pass what?
No, pass.
Alright, pass you don't know, or pass. Half pass. Oh, I hope not. What happened to when I have a good thing in Canva? Obviously, it wasn't very quick, right?
You have met Scottish folk, haven't you? A quick drink is 3 days, 2 hospital trips.
You're right.
So, how do you design your cluster? You have a load balancer, you have rancher, you have your green and your blue clusters, and you have databases and somewhere backend stuff.
So
what else do you do?
So you can use like a Docker Compose or Rancher Compose. Do you know what that is?
I heard about Docker Compose.
So you've got your entire stack in the one kind of.
Is the wrapper for Docker, right?
It's basically for orchestrating multiple Docker containers at once. So you have like 5 different apps, and you control them all with Docker Compose. So Rancher takes a Docker Compose file, and it will basically produce that stack for you. But on Rancher, you can put your hosts in. So when you put the hosts in as in your servers, you can assign your Compose stack to a certain host. So that way you can just decide this one's going to be a load balancer, this one's not. You can set up your rules for your different hosts that way. But it will actually automatically find the host that's available. So if you've got 3 hosts in like 2 follower, brancher's automatically going to shift all your containers onto the third host.
Is the host enabled, even can be detect application system?
Yeah, as long as the host is linked through the rancher agent is running across the 3 hosts, it will control them all, links them all together basically. So if one topples over, it knows it's toppled over and it moves our containers around. And it just keeps your application live basically. Yeah, it's a pretty nice tool.
Are you saying that I can start to think about the guy from along something who's running instead?
No, you can still set up a load balancer.
I think I will come along something and see
Not necessarily for zero downtime. A load balancer would say is more appropriate for traffic distribution rather than like for my DevOps. Do you know what I mean? Like using it just as a means to do it on off. I think it's control of that.
How you deploy the keys?
So you're secret keys. So you've got Docker secrets. Yeah, so you can actually. I haven't used Jenkins, so I've only used it's just a really lightweight CI tool. You can just use XML files to program your steps. Instead of like a full UI like Jenkins, it's a lot simpler. In there you can choose the secrets to basically inject all your containers. So you would do that on maybe on the other side.
Where you have the keys.
Yeah, so you keep the keys in like a protected space. Like a backpack with the keys in there. DevOps basically takes those containers through Docker secrets. So if we never put those in version control. Different ways you can kind of store things. The main thing is you don't want to put them in version control. Or you never want to build an image with them because if someone control your image, that you can get access to your secrets. That's happened to a few companies.
Okay. Thanks for coming by. Do we have everybody here? Nice. So, what were you doing earlier? We were running the pipeline. So we've seen. Let's so we've seen the text. This is the script actually, the pipeline script, which are different stages. And now we run it. Okay, and now this is a graphical representation that Jenkins provides when you run pipelines. So these are the different stages. And as I said, we are trying to demonstrate a full life cycle, application life cycle. So what we did is we check it out from GitHub, all the folders, including the Jenkins file and the Docker file, everything you've seen, we checked it out locally. We checked it out inside the Docker image that we built earlier. We transfer the build output. Why are we doing that? Okay, it's another copy thing. It's a demo. Then we run the app. We test if the app is running. You see this just now is a demo, and what it does, it does a curve, a Linux curve, which it points to the web port, the port 80 internally to see if something is up and running. And then we stop the application and we archive the results, which is this thing there, which is just another example of how a full end-to-end pipeline. This pipeline, unfortunately, we cannot, because we stopped the application here, we cannot see anything. You remember we exposed the application in the port 8089. But we have a simpler, the runme, which, if you see here, It does exactly the same here. It goes and brings the code again from GitHub, but this time instead of running a pipeline, a script, it does. You just define the script there, which either you can do that or you can have a shell script if you want to have anything more professional. You can have the shell script version control in GitHub and pull it from here. So this, if we run, or when we're going to run that, so what is it going to do? It's going to do exactly, it's going to do only, it's going to pull the code and it's going to compile it and it's going to run it. Oh yeah, let's see how long it's going to take to compile it.
This is a grade or a Java thing, is it?
Yeah. So here it is. So it's up and running. So it's not very elaborate script, it's just running until we stop the job. But the good thing is that if we copy that and we go to the port that we discussed, 8089, yep. This is this fabulous application. Okay, so that's it. So that's the app. That was like a web page. So in theory now, so this is the full. This is the example, the full life cycle. What we discussed. So basically, come on.
So this application is running on in the container.
Yes, this is why this is not going anywhere. Oh yeah, it is not working. What is it? Okay, that is a really good question, and it was another question that you made. So how do you have multiple apps, and what do you do with that? So we chose to run this app. We build the app inside the container and we run it inside the container. Do you remember? I don't know if you were here. We went through a huge keynote. We went here. No, we went here. Okay, here. So we went here and we said we're going to expose the 8080 for Jenkins and 8089 for the internal application. Okay, so we choose to do that because it's a demo and we didn't want to overcomplicate stuff. But you don't normally do that. You keep one application per image, per one Docker image. So instead of doing, you know what? I'm going to do that. Instead of do this randomly, instead of doing only that, just now we don't specify where to run this, so it runs it inside the container. So these jobs run inside the master. Okay.
But what if we have another slave?
Yeah. That's I'm coming to the point that if you want to be if you're in a commercial environment and you don't want to run the application inside your Jenkins, you want a separation obviously. So you run it in either on the the easiest thing to do is to run it in the local host in the VM. So you have a Jenkins slave in the VM, but not inside the Docker image, and you can do that there for testing purposes. So if you want to expose to testers, so you run it on the slaves on the wherever the VMs, the testing VMs are. You know what I mean? So you do exactly the same, but you repoint the script to run on the test machines, wherever the testers are going to go and run it. So that's the difference. So instead of having here and you go and you say Docker PS and you see only one, you will see all the different images that all the different applications you have. You see? So going back to our presentation. Oh, excellent. So let's go back to our pipeline, right? Okay, so basically this is the simplest pipeline we can think of for the demonstration today. Okay, so the checking out from a version control, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, building. Most of the times you build stuff. Sometimes you have some maybe databases. Maybe you have MongoDB, for instance. So you don't need to build MongoDB most of the times. It is not a requirement. You don't change something that is not yours, but you need to deploy. It comes with, let's say, all your applications using MongoDB. So you skip this. You just pick it up from your repository, whatever repository you have in your company. And then you run. The run is another step that it's pretty standard. You run the running thing, the running of the application is similar to what we did in Docker Run. As you remember, you asked me earlier. Instead of, so you will Docker, when you build Docker images, then you pick Docker Run from the different ports that you want to expose, and you either point to Docker Hub, but in most situations, companies use internal repositories. So you point to whatever repository you have internally, and then you do some tests. So this is something that we can that will be really beneficial for us to look in the near future. Just now we do a kernel to see if it's up and running, the application. You know, it was just for demo purposes. You do a kernel. If the port 80 is you get a 200, it means that the application is up and running. But we can have instead of having only one box here, we can have quite deep. The idea of the pipelines is not to be very wide, but it will be nice if they are deep. So you can do a lot of different steps for each stage. So depending on what the pipeline is doing in different environments, you can have different tests. So if you're building the application in the dev environment, you can have a large number of JUnit tests there to run. So every time someone changes, you run the same JUnit test or different JUnit tests to see if it's broken. So if whatever it was there before is broken with the new changes. So if it's if the unit tests pass, then you can have acceptance tests. So they might be a bit more business-wise, you know. So, for instance, where we're working, we use Cucumber. Okay, so we can define simple business scenarios. So, and you know, for instance, there is a user that goes and logs in and I don't know, creates something from the database, whatever. So you have all these standard business tests that you run after you build your image to make sure that again it's not broken. So and again you can run. You run this the acceptance tests after you deploy. So you can have different tests even after you deploy in production. You run your acceptance tests to be sure that you don't break stuff. You can have your manual testers do some elaborate testing that only they know. But for, I don't know, 90% of the acceptance tests, you can run them automatically to make sure that nothing breaks and to be sure that whenever you're going live again, you haven't missed them or you haven't deployed the wrong version. You know, and any other stages, any other steps that you need after you deploy. You know, you can have different stages, different tests, or the other. So maybe you want to archive some, as we do here, you want to check in or you archive some XML files before you run the application or after you run it, or you know, lots of different permutations. So basically that was the presentation, the bulk of the presentation. This is what, okay, let's go to the
question. Do you usually deploy in the same pipeline? Do you usually deploy in the same pipeline or in a separate one?
What do you mean deploy the same pipeline?
The same deploy in production.
You have that's another very interesting question. Similar to, you remember what we were talking earlier. For instance, it depends the practices you have in on an organization. As you were asking me earlier, what do you do with the Jenkins files? What do you do with the scripts? Do you put them in the same place that you put the Java, or you put them somewhere separately? And there are different schools of thoughts. You know, as I told you earlier, where I work, some teams they have everything. They have everything in the same repo. So not this one, not this one, this one here. Okay, so some teams they can have a folder called Jenkins or CI/CD, and they have a directory structure with all the different pipelines there. So some other dev teams they have another repo that has only the Jenkins files and all the resources. What I mentioned earlier was that the life cycle for the application tends to be different from the life cycle of the CI/CD scripts. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to have in the same place the Docker, the Jenkins file, or the pipelines with the code. That's why you separate them, and also because you don't. I know it might not sound very well, but sometimes you don't want the developers to change every 5 minutes the pipelines because they thought that something is cool. So you want to have DevOps people that they are more experienced.
So you could have
to change the pipelines. Sorry, what did you say?
Sorry, yeah, so it's kind of on what you said. Like you could add a step on the pipeline that would hit one of the other containers to tell it to rebuild the image.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Because the pipeline would have just built a new image.
Yes. So
yeah. So that's how you would deploy it as part of the pipeline. Is that right?
That was a bit different question. What you deploy, you can run. When you run the pipeline, you can have the pipeline to choose which version. You can go and pick which version from a drop. For instance, the simplest thing, you have a drop-down menu with all the versions. And you can pick which one you want to deploy.
So how does that link to the containers then? If you have a separate apps of all the different containers. You have pipelines that go. You have different pipelines for different containers. So if you have 10 apps, yeah, you have one pipeline for one repository that points that you build all your apps. You know what I mean? Okay.
So you have different repositories for different apps. So you don't tend to put all the containers that you build in one repo.
No. So
you point there and you get a drop-down menu for all the versions of the particular app, one of the 10 or whatever.
Okay.
So the pipelines, where do you know what to deploy, right? So that's what you asked, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Do you deploy in the same pipeline, yes, or do you deploy usually in a